The first time I ever smoked weed was out of an apple. Since then, this drug has slowly taken over my life. If you ask me why, I tell you that it lets me focus and tap into my creativity more, which would be lying straight to your face. I may get a little more creative, but that's not why I do it. I have to, otherwise it's all I can think about. I'm addicted to smoking weed. I smoke 7 days a week. If I'm not at work, you can bet that I'm somewhere in a deep haze listening to Drake faded out of my mind. The scary part is, none of this feels unusual. Weed was everywhere growing up. It was easy to get, everyone around me smoked, and after a while, it just felt normal. I always saw my dad smoke growing up. I used to think I would never do that, and at the time, I really believed it. Whether the weed caused it or not, I know I'm not as sharp as I used to be. I forget things more, I lose my train of thought, I feel like I'm constantly walking around in a fog. It also can become a huge financial burden. I spend almost $20 a day on weed. I pay $600 every month to slow my brain down and become less ambitious. I know not everyone will have the same experience with marijuana, but it has me beat. You may be able to use it socially or in moderation, but I just can't. I always looked at it like if you're a functioning adult, then it's fine, because a lot of people say it's not the same type of addictive as other drugs. But for anyone that smokes every day, I know exactly how you feel when you haven't smoked for 24 hours, and you know exactly how I feel. That is the feeling of depending on a substance to make it through the day. All it takes is to become a habit, but the longer you let it go on, the darker the light at the end of the tunnel gets. And if you're a young person, your odds are increasingly higher. At 22, my brain is almost fully developed, and I've been smoking for 8 years. To stop now is much harder. When you're under 25, your brain is not fully done developing yet. A couple of years ago, I would have told you I'd probably never stop. Opinions change. Maybe in 3 years, I'll have a completely different take on life. But one thing I know is I won't be high experiencing it. I will explain how it got me, just to show that I get it, how it can happen so quickly and you don't even realize. I was probably smoking some nights of the week at this point and would have been around 18. I was super injured from sports and I felt weak and embarrassed. Up until that point, a lot of my confidence relied heavily around playing sports. After that was slowly taken away, I started smoking more and more, because what else was I gonna do? I needed to recover. I would hang out with my friends and just live my life, except I'd be smoking all the time. At first, it was probably harmless, but as the years went on, it got worse and worse. It affected relationships I cared about a lot. It completely took any want to go out regularly from me. Eventually, it got to the point where I felt like I needed to smoke just to enjoy a normal day with people I cared about. I was even hiding pens around my house from my ex-girlfriend just so I could smoke. I don't think you have to be a social person if you don't want to, but I don't do things specifically because I would rather be home smoking weed and working on videos. But the reality is, if I didn't smoke, I would be way more efficient, sharper all day. I would spend less money and I would have more time for the things and people I care about. And most importantly, I wouldn't be able to use it as an excuse for why everything in my life hasn't worked out yet, why I'm not as successful as maybe I'd hoped to be, or as committed to the things I care about. But regardless, it's just an excuse until I put it into action and do something about it. I think if I quit smoking, I can do more in the time I have on this earth. I don't want to look back and think I wish I went harder at this time. I wish I didn't smoke and was more focused on my life. Don't think my story has to affect yours. This is not some self-improvement video that you should let change your life. I'm just a guy who makes videos that's decided he wants to quit smoking weed.